Hey y'all, before we get started, we wanted to let everyone know that this episode will include discussions about domestic abuse, sexual assault, and suicide. We know that these topics are tough for some, so please take care of yourself and skip this one if you need to.
And he handcuffed me to a gas meter
Where
in
was
front of
everybody else? I just
sitting there. They were
They were
sitting there and they were
watching this?
laughing. They were watching. They were laughing. And he was like, I'm not going to cuff you until you say you're going to go out and date with me.
You are now tuned in to the dopest podcast, What's Been Better, with Sly and Lori Spit and Chop Game. So buckle up your seatbelts and open up your mind. What's Been Better is about to go live.
Okay, so we're back with part two. If you have not heard the beginning of Erika's story, please go back and listen to part one of her breakthrough. And again, you know that we cuss, so please do not get offended by how we emphasize. All right, so Erika, please continue with your story. Where we left off, you had just been released from your kidnapper. He had the audacity to give you just $60 and act like that was okay as well.
And $60, and I'll give you money for what? You know, like
Right,
give you money at all, like as though you were a prostitute or something.
Right. And I think for him, it was hush money.
Mm.
And so with that, he dropped me off right where, I was supposed to be at my mom's friend house. Now, mind you, it is every bit of like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So he had me for hours.
Yeah.
And with that, when he dropped me off, I just sat on my mom's friend. I sat on her step and I cried and I was banging on the door and there was no answer. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. You got to go home. You know? So I'm going home. I'm walking because, mind you, this is one side of town to the next, not too far, So I'm walking home and I come in the house and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning now. And I sit down, my little sister's sitting there, she's watching TV, and I sit down and I had the bag and I threw the bag and I just sat on the couch and I just put my head in my hands and I just bawled. I just started crying. And my sister, she looked at me and she said, "What is wrong with you?" And I told her and she was like, "What?" Yeah, I told my sister, and mind you, my sister, she has a physical different ability. I don't like saying people have disabilities. She has a different ability. And so with that, when I told her what happened, she was like, "Oh my God," she was so petrified. And I just ran upstairs. I ran upstairs to the bathroom and I turned on the tub and I ran water in the tub. I poured bleach in the tub and I got in the tub and I just was in there crying and I literally was like, and I was like, you know what, just drown yourself.
Wow.
And I went under the water and I don't know, I just felt like something pulled me up. And so when I was getting myself like, I was still crying, the mirror had fogged up. You know how the bathroom mirror can fog up. And so I wiped the mirror with my hand, and looking back at me, I saw my mom in the mirror looking back at me. And she said to me, "You need to go to Dr. Purcell." That was our doctor.
Okay.
And mind you, I'm like, am I tripping?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because my mom she done passed on, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, all right, And so with that, the next morning I got up super early. I caught the bus, went over to my doctor's office, and before they opened up, I was there, and the nurse, one of her nurses. And so when I told the nurse what happened, and she said, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do." She told the doctor what happened, and the doctor, and because she knew us personally, and the doctor, she said, she needs to go to the hospital. So the nurse, she said, I'm taking her myself.
Oh, that's good. That's
And
good.
so she drove
Whew.
me to the hospital. And there they did a rape kit.
Mm-hmm.
And they had contacted the New Jersey State Police. And they came over. And mind you, I'm showing up home with this officer.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the officer, my grandma, she's not home. But my older sister's there. And me and her, we didn't have the best relationship growing up as kids. I mean, because she was just different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now that's not the person. That's not the sister you told. You told your other
Right.
sister, right?
Right.
Okay.
That
Right.
was
That's
the
my
younger
little
sister.
sister, the one that I told.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is my older sister. Now, mind you, my older sister, she had her daughter, and she was pregnant with her other child. Well, no, she had 2 kids at the time. She was 17 with 2 kids. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when this officer shows up, and he's asking for my grandma, and she's like, she's not here. What's going on? And he told my sister, and he was like, well, I need to speak with her because, and he asked, do you know XYZ, this person? And she was like, yeah. And the officer said, well, we need to, we need to talk to him. We need to, basically, like, he needs to come with us.
Mm-hmm.
And when he told my sister what happened, my sister, she was like, oh. So she got on the phone and she called my cousin.
Okay.
And my cousin immediately comes around the house. All right. And I mean, she is like in attack mode. She's
On
in
you?
attack mode to me. Yes. And so she comes and she attacks me. We are in there fighting, and I'm not gonna lie to you, honey. I'm tearing her ass up.
But where's the
Because
cop when all this is going on?
the cop had left.
Oh.
He had just left,
Okay.
so it was almost like simultaneously. And so, and her words, it was, you always lying on people. And, and
Of
it was like,
course.
wow. And I'll tell you what, I told her, I said, that's okay. I said, you ain't got to believe me. I said, but bitch, you got a daughter too. I said,
Yeah.
and I told her, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he already wasn't, sort of like fucking around, fucking with her,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had my little bag, and I just grabbed my bag and I left, I had
Where
left
did you
home.
go?
I didn't know where I was going to go. I knew
Okay.
that my mom's friend wasn't reliable because she wasn't there. Like she told me she was going to be with her, and so I said, I just walked, and I remembered my godmom, and she was close, close enough for me to walk to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went over there, and I told her what happened, and I just was like, I just said I can't go back there, and I was scared to death. Right?
Okay.
Now, my godmom's niece, she confirmed some stuff. She said, I believe you. She said, because when I was 16 and I was going to the, it was a popular motorcycle club,
Mm-hmm.
was going there, and he kept trying to get at her.
The same
and she
person?
wasn't.
Okay.
Same
So
person.
he'd been
Trying
a
to get at
predator.
her. And she said she rejected him, and he picked her up by her neck and slammed her on the car and told her, I will fuck you right here in front of everybody.
Wow.
And if it was not for her uncle, who just so happened to be there, like, he done basically had to hit this man with a brick to get him off his knees.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, where was your stepdad when all this was going on?
Okay, so my stepdad, because my mom had passed away, he didn't, he couldn't handle it, like he couldn't handle losing my mom. And my grandma, had become in charge of the house.
Mm.
And of course, just the whole Christian way
And the
as
matriarchy
right,
and all of that.
exactly.
I get
And
you. I
so,
get you.
Well, did he and your mom have any children?
no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
not at all. And it's so funny because he asked my mom to marry him so many times, and my mom's like, no.
Oh, so she just
She
never
loved
married
him,
him.
but she just didn't want to get married,
I hear you. I hear you.
And so, that was understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I eventually, told my stepdad, what happened, because he
Okay.
actually heard what happened and he was looking for me, but I was trying to not be seen because this man had threatened
The
my
kids,
life,
right, right.
So
and
can we fast forward just a little bit?
yeah,
Does the man get caught? Is there any accountability for this
girl, wait a
person?
minute. Oh, so let me tell you now, he's known for this, but
Mm-hmm.
because of his bounty hunter
Mm-hmm.
status,
Mm-hmm.
and close ties with law enforcement in my home state, it was like, I mean, okay, nothing.
Okay.
Now, with that, the officer from Jersey, he actually did, they started a case, against him. And the,
Okay.
the prosecutor wanted to, meet with, the guy. And as he's going over there to meet with the prosecutor, the guy's talking to another officer. And he's like, yeah, I bring young girls over here all the time. Did not know that the prosecutor is the person he's going to go meet, and the prosecutor hears this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So with that, it was like, okay, mind you, I'm 18. I didn't find this out until I was 18. So let me rewind a little bit. So I'm with my godmom and her niece and whatever, and I end up meeting this young man who is now he's my child's father.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
now the assault happened in August of 1998. And of course, you go through the whole thing where they give you the birth control and all that kind of stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Met my son's father, and met him in like September, and come October, and I find out I'm pregnant in November, and I'm like, okay, listen, it pretty much is what it is, and my son ultimately ended up saving my life at that point in time. When I say saving my life,
Mm-hmm.
because I was just like, I was a woman, well, not a woman, I was a teenage girl with a vengeance,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
because I was going to listen. I said, listen, if I see this man again, because he didn't threaten my life, and if I see him, it's going to be his life or mine,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
but he had been actively looking for me,
Mm-hmm.
because people
Wow.
had actually told him, oh yeah, she's over, west side, and it just so happened to be that the street I was on, his brother lived had a house up there on that same
Okay.
street, and I had no idea,
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless though. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fast forward a little bit. When I was 4 months pregnant, um I just so happened to call my cousin. She heard about what happened. Like, she was pissed. She was pissed with my grandma. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Because it was like nothing was done. Because
Mm-hmm.
back
Right.
then, you know, either the state was going to pick up the charges, or the parent of,
Mm-hmm.
the victim had to press charges.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, the state ended up picking them up. So with that being said, I'm pregnant, and I'm like 4 months, and I go see my cousin, and she's asking me, and she calls me Twiggy.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only person in this world that could call me Twiggy, and I answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, she says, so what do you want to do? And
Mm-hmm.
she was asking me as far as like with the whole baby, and
Mm-hmm.
are you ready for this type of
Mm-hmm.
responsibility? And
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and I'm thinking, I'm 4 months along, and
Mm-hmm.
what can I do now?
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
Right.
And so she said, okay. And so she went ahead and she took me in. She went immediately and filed an ex parte, hearing,
Mm-hmm.
and was granted custody of me. And I mean, like, she set it up in her 2-bedroom apartment. She made space for me.
Mm.
So me, she
Okay.
turned her back porch into a bedroom
Mm.
for me.
Wow.
What did that do for
Yeah.
you at that time?
It made me feel like I mattered.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I ask, what did you leaving do to your relationship with your younger sister?
Oh, girl. Oh, my gosh. So my younger sister she was alone,
Mm-hmm.
so
Okay.
to speak. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I still kept in contact with her
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot because um oh, I left out the part where eventually my mom's friend did get custody of us.
Mm-hmm.
They took, they gave custody to her when, with my grandma from my grandma, but I mean that was just a money grab for her
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
again
Okay.
she was in her addiction and so she saw dollar signs,
Wow.
you
Right.
know, income,
Right. And
to
so,
feed,
and she neglected you all too.
right, exactly. And that's,
Okay.
at that point. So mind you, I had been to three, houses going from pillar to post
Mm-hmm.
after
Mm-hmm.
all of this,
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen.
Right.
And then when I finally get to my cousin, she's like, yeah, she's like, like she made me feel heard. She made me feel validated.
Good.
She did not, downplay anything that I
Mm-hmm.
went through.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she started asking around. And she came to me one day and she said, Twiggy, she said, I want to talk to you. And she said, what do you want to do about this situation? She said, because you're old enough now where you can file the charges.
Mm.
And she said, because I've asked around and people that went to school with him said he's always been like that.
Mm.
Oh.
And
Okay.
so she asked me, she said, do you want to, press charges? And I said, yeah. And I started crying. I was like, yeah, I do. So she set up for us to go meet with the prosecutor over there. And the prosecutor over there, he was the one who revealed to us that he overheard this
Mm-hmm.
man telling,
Mm-hmm.
this cop, yeah, I bring young girls over here all the time. It ain't nothing.
Mm. And
And so,
and when he said over there, he means across state line.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Okay. So then, now that the prosecutor revealed this, and now that you're like, okay, let's move forward,
Right.
does this actually go forward? Does something actually happen?
No, ma'am.
Mm.
Wow.
He's a bounty hunter.
Mm.
And it came out later on that he paid off the prosecutor
Mm.
because they lost the entire file.
Mm.
How do you lose an
Conveniently.
entire
Yeah.
file? They lost the evidence. How do you lose it? You know?
Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that,
All these cover ups, man.
right, and I felt
Right.
so defeated. I mean, I felt defeated at that point in time. And I was just like, okay, you know what? But you know what? I'm like, I'm like, bitch. Nope. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
You got to keep going.
So, so, okay, so let's put that one down. There's nothing you could do about it. It's happened.
Right.
How do you eventually leave Delaware?
Okay. So, me and my middle school sweetheart got back together
Okay.
when I was in high school. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I had custody of my sister. I had my son. I had my own apartment, and so, and I was working too, because
Mm-hmm.
I was co-op and I was a senior. I only had 3 classes my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, might I add, I still managed to keep my grades up. I mean, I
Wow.
graduated with a 3.8 GPA.
How
You
did
know,
you do that? That's amazing.
you know what? It was just because I knew that it was some things that needed to be done
Mm-hmm.
and needed to
Okay.
be um, broken.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I just kept going and got married at 21.
Okay.
Honey, thinking I'm just going to live this life of a military wife and this, that, and the
Okay.
third. And I mean, I couldn't wait to watch this man's dirty drawers, honey. I was in love with this man. You hear me? My middle school sweetheart. Oh, we going to set life together. Baby got over to Germany and thought I was, free of the
Mm-hmm.
abuse.
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Got over there and went through abuse over there too. But see now, my ex, he forgot he married a girl raised in the projects.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm telling his commander, listen, y'all need to get him because I'm finna send him home to his mama in the pine box.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, cause
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Oh, I'm over here fighting for my life. I
Mm.
just
You just
fought for my life.
right.
Yeah, like I'm tired.
Right.
I'm tired,
Right. You
boss.
need a break at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, damn. And so he gets, he ends up getting kicked out of the military
Yeah. Yeah. That
As
because
he
can
should
happen.
have.
oh,
Exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely. But the sad part is he had already started building up stuff before I got there. I didn't even know about it. I'm
Mm.
like, oh, this is what we doing?
Building up what?
Oh, girl, listen, he was on the verge of getting kicked out for interacting with a minor.
Mm.
Oh,
15 years old.
Mm.
so
Mm.
this is
Mm.
just a
And
pattern.
Mm.
girl, listen. And I'm like, what the hell?
Mm.
Like,
Right.
you
He
over here
knew.
doing you, and then, but wait, he was already having beef with one of the staff sergeants. And don't get me wrong, it was a lot of racial stuff going on. That a lot of people don't talk about that kind of stuff, and that goes on
Mm.
in the military,
Mhm.
with um black soldiers and the racism that they experience and all that kind of stuff. And so I
Mm-hmm.
guess he needed to feel like, a man, whatever. Anyway, so that abuse then went on and whatever. And mind you, I always said I wasn't gonna have any more kids until I got married.
Mhm.
Right.
And I did that. But baby, because you marry him, that don't mean you supposed to have kids with him. I wish
That
somebody
part.
had told me that,
Yeah.
because when I was getting
Right.
married, oh, my family was so happy and this, that, and the third. And, and I'm just thinking I'm just going to live this good life,
Mhm.
over there and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And yeah, I could have been that young wife at 21 to just shut the fuck up and take it.
Mhm.
I could
Yeah.
have looked and turned a blind eye to, everything that was going on. But I was fucking tired.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could believe it. I
Yeah.
I
could
was
believe
tired.
it.
Listen, I done fought for my life. I got my son, you know what I'm saying? Okay, my son, his father, you know, reluctantly didn't want my son to go, but he, was
You
like,
allowed it.
okay,
Yeah.
Right.
exactly. And so with that being said, it was like, all right, now we get back over here to the States. Because mind you, he done got put out of the
Mm-hmm.
military,
Mhm.
for um just his his long list
Mm.
of everything. Now mind you,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that he was not the same person from when he came back from Iraq.
Mhm.
I'm going to his
Okay.
commander like, listen, y'all need to get him some help
Mhm.
because he's not the same person. His commander, basically was telling me, you know you can't tell us that he needs help. He has to be the one to tell us.
No.
And I'm like, you know what? And and mind you, in between all of this, if you've known anybody who's been to a war zone and have come back, they don't come
Mhm.
back the same.
No.
They
Mm-mm.
dealing with trauma. They using
Mhm.
alcohol to try to,
Mhm.
to
Yep.
deal with it. Sometimes
Mhm.
drugs, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
And so it was just like, okay, at this point, like, it is what it is. I'm trying to tell him, like, listen, you need to tell these people that you need to get help.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
At least start building your medical file. Y'all know
Right.
men don't think
Right.
like we do, you
Mhm.
know?
No.
Now, is he in
And
Germany saying this, or
yeah,
back in the
we're in
States now?
Germany. We're
Okay.
in Germany.
Okay.
Okay.
hmm And so, I mean, he went with his tail tucked between his legs, dishonorably discharged, and
Mm.
we get back here to the States, and they like, okay, mind you, I'm pregnant with our daughter.
Mm.
Okay.
We have planned this child, and
Mhm.
against my better judgment at that point in time in my life, you know, because this man, oh, I don't have any kids, I'm gonna kill myself, and
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
The
okay, well, if a child gonna save your life, you know what I'm
manipulation,
saying?
though. That's manipulation. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and I
Mhm.
didn't realize that at that time,
You don't
Right.
know what you don't know.
right.
Mhm.
And
You
see,
don't.
and I had my one son at the time.
Mhm.
I was good,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
like if we made it, we was fine. If we didn't, we was
Yeah.
gonna be fine,
Right. Right.
Right.
And so, we get back over here to the States. He done got put out the military, this, that, and the third.
Mm.
And so, I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this because, mind you, I actually went into labor with my daughter
Mm.
3.5 weeks early from
Mm.
fighting with this man,
Mm.
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, like, it was so bad. And I was like, Lord have mercy. You know, I'm carrying this child. And then on top of that, I didn't feel supported while I was pregnant because, sir, I
Mhm.
agreed to carry this child for you.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I didn't have the support. I mean, he was just not a good husband. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And then, I go and I have my daughter, and of course he's not there because there was just a whole domestic situation that led
Mhm.
up to me going into labor. So no, you can't come in here with this woman. We don't know what you're capable of, you know.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
And
Mhm.
so I'm like, you know what? I done had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I found out, he was cheating with his best friend's cousin and this, that, and the third, and it just so happened to be the same girl that sat at our wedding congratulating me and this, that. Girl, when I tell you, listen, I could have tore Jesus off a cross,
Mm.
honey.
Mm.
Do you hear me? Like, I just could have, listen, I said, you know what? And I ain't gonna lie, I reacted like any
Mhm.
24-year-old wife would have done at that time. You understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Because, bruh, like, you bold enough to have this bitch in my house, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And
Mhm.
y'all,
Right.
she's smiling and kikiing in my face and like, what? And then
Mm.
you screwing her and then you get her pregnant?
Oh
Oh,
Lord,
one thing I don't do. No, ma'am.
girl, where my fan at? Shit.
One thing I don't do. I'm like, listen, if you come in with kids, that's fine. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna
But
accept
we're
them
not
kids
starting a
because
whole new
yeah, but you
situation.
going outside, you making okay, that's where you want to be. Cool. All right, go on.
So what did you do?
I divorced his ass.
I bet you did,
I
And
bet
and
so.
girl.
guess what? And he ain't had but by the time I got done with his ass, he ain't had shit.
Mm.
Okay?
Well,
And it was sad because he literally left everything on the table with the military. You know what I'm saying? When
Mhm.
all he had to do was
Was
just be honest
and say
about
mm-hmm.
he yes.
right, and so with that, I was like, okay, but baby, let me tell you something. One thing about some of these women, they think that they get the best thing since sliced bread when they are messing with somebody else's husband and this, that, and the
Mhm.
third,
Yes.
and don't know. And
Yes.
baby, she quickly learned.
Mhm.
She quickly
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
learned. But I'm
Mhm.
gonna tell you, God got jokes, and I'm not gonna lie to you about this, baby. Let me tell you something. I found out she was pregnant, and I said, okay, you know what, it is what it is. I divorced him, but of course, I didn't divorce him until our divorce was final 3 days after his daughter was born.
Mm.
Mm.
But I ain't gonna lie, honey, I had to prove a point. Oh, I'm still gonna when I
Mm.
want to. If I
Mhm.
Mm.
call him, he gonna come. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Girl, let me tell you, God got jokes. Cause baby, a couple of weeks after that divorce was final and his other daughter was born, I found out I was pregnant
Oh
with my
no.
youngest
Oh,
son.
from
Yes,
Oh.
him.
yes. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
But see, let me tell you, one thing about a man, they gonna lie when they not trying to, be honest. And he kept telling this girl, "No, that's not my baby."
Mm.
This that. I mean, girl, it was a whole thing. I mean,
Mm.
it was. I ain't gonna lie. I done got charges behind this whole situation, everything. I mean, because I was like, you motherfuckers is playing in my face.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, it's enough to provoke you,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I
especially
was,
when you have all these other things going on.
yeah.
You can snap just like that.
Girl, I was in
Okay.
my 20s, honey.
Yeah.
So, okay. Divorce final.
Mm hmm.
Second daughter comes.
Well,
Well,
You are
mm hmm.
his
she
daughter.
had
Mm hmm.
I'm
right.
sorry. The extra daughter comes.
Mm hmm.
Mhm.
You are
Mhm.
now pregnant.
Yes.
With your third
What
child.
do you do?
Girl, oh, you great crack up at this. Wait a minute. Because
Oh boy.
when I found out I was
How is
pregnant,
there more?
Right.
listen, oh, yeah, because look, when I was supposed to get my tubes tied, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I wasn't feeling like myself. So I said, let me go ahead and make me an appointment. Go to my appointment. Girl, this woman come out talking about congratulations, you're pregnant. I said, who? I said,
Oh
who's pregnant? She
no.
said, you. I said, ma'am, I said, I'm getting my tubes tied tomorrow. She said,
This cannot be.
right.
Right.
She was like, well, you gonna have to reschedule that in another 9 months.
Woo.
Girl,
Wow.
when I tell you, I was like, I mean, for real, God, like for real.
Mm.
And so, I'm not. I went ahead and I was like, okay, do I really want this other child, whatever. But girl, tell you, God got jokes. So now mind you, there have been altercations with me and this girl. I had a she had a no contact order on me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I didn't know where this girl worked at, but I was looking at my options because I was like, I don't really want no more kids. Da, da, da. So I go to the clinic. Okay. Go
Okay.
to the clinic. They got people out there protesting. Hey, you don't kill your baby and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, I walked right on past them. Now, mind you, this was the doctor's office that I used to go to for my prenatal care with my oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
They just so happened to sell it to, the hitman. Now, and so,
That's a
and
different way
so,
to put that I would
Wow.
have
okay,
never called it. But
Me
all right.
neither.
and so, and so,
I thought they were helpers. But hey.
well, okay. So listen, I go in, and mind you, I made my appointment, beforehand, and I go the day of my appointment. Lo and behold, who's standing there behind the goddamn desk? Her ass.
Whoa.
Talking about, well, what you doing here? I looked at her. I said, well, what you mean what I'm doing here? I said, I'm here. I'm here to be seen. You can't be here. You want me to call your probation officer, girl? I was on probation at the time and everything. Oh yeah, it was wild. I mean, like when I tell you I went off. Yeah, so things led up to, and so with that, like she was like, oh, you really just you trying it. And I told her, I said, girl, I said, if you don't shut the fuck up, I said, you got these people in here thinking it is what it is when it's not what it's not, because if it was what it was, I wouldn't be in here. Okay, I wouldn't be in here getting ready to get services from your so-called man, my ex-husband. Who I'm
Right.
just divorced from. You understand what I'm saying? So she goes, she talked to her office manager. They come out and tell me, oh, but we can't see you today. And, whatever. And I told them, I said, it's either now or never. Y'all better send that bitch to lunch.
So
What, they
then
weren't going
you couldn't get
I
any
could not. No.
because of her?
because that
yeah.
would be violating
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Oh
agreement.
my goodness.
Girl.
Wow. So this is how you wind up having the
Yes.
third child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On a
Wow.
technicality.
On a
Oh,
technicality. I
technicality.
said, God got jokes. You hear me?
Well, he was
Yeah.
meant to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my peanut. That's my baby,
How old is he now?
He's 15 now.
Wow.
And so, and don't get me wrong, I'm here with two teenagers now. My oldest son is 24, I got a granddaughter and everything. So life has went on, and now after this whole divorce and this, that, and the third, and, these two kids and, all that kind of stuff. And we done been divorced for 8 years, and it was like, okay, now in between that time, I had another traumatic experience, because after I divorced my ex-husband, I waited a year to start dating. I gave myself time to heal, which I felt like I did pretty good, Then I met this one gentleman, I actually met two guys within weeks apart or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I ain't married to nobody, so I can talk to whoever I want.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sis gonna be outside. Okay.
Love it.
And so, the one guy that I met, he was real genuine. He was real, but the other guy that I met, I just so happened to be feeling him a little more. Lo and behold, why? I had to reevaluate my choices,
Okay.
in men, or what was on me that was attracting these type of men.
You had that
Because-
invisible kick me
Right.
tattoo.
Exactly. And so this man that I have been dating for 3 years, like, I shared things with him that that nobody knew, about, me, that I ain't gonna say that nobody knew, because, but I'm saying in an intimate setting.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And one thing about somebody who don't have your best interest at heart, what they gonna do is they gonna take what you tell them, and they gonna use it against you.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time.
Okay. And this man end up sexually assaulting me
Mm.
in my house
Mm.
with my kids there. I
Wow.
mean, this time I'm fighting. I'm screaming,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
biting, all of
Mhm.
that. All because I broke up with him and I, separated myself from him
Mhm.
because I
Mm-hmm.
found out he was living a double life, and it was just
Mhm.
like, but him being him, he had to have the last say so.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell you, I was traumatized again because I went through a whole trial. Mind you, I done lost my cousin, you know what I'm saying, that I was very, very close to.
Mm-hmm.
Lost my cousin in a single car crash.
Mm.
End up having to have a hysterectomy through all of this, you know what I mean?
Mm.
um and so with all of that, I was just so tired again. I was
Mhm.
drained. I was like, how
Mhm.
you keep getting up? You
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
when you getting your behind kicked, the best thing to do is to just protect yourself, but I
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
kept getting up. And that was
Mhm.
my way of protecting myself, fighting
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
back. We went through to a whole trial, because I reported everything,
Mhm.
and it was really, really, and I could talk about it to this day,
Mhm.
without crying. That's how I know I'm healed from it,
That's
Mhm.
good. That's
because
good.
that right there, it was traumatizing for me because this man had knew what I've been through.
You're right. And
Mm-hmm.
he used
and
Mm-hmm.
that against
and
you.
He's
He
he
took
still,
used that
advantage of
yeah.
you. Yeah.
exactly. And I'm not gonna lie to you. At this point, I was like, you know what? Oh, somebody finna get offed.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mhm.
somebody was
Yeah.
finna get off. But when that whole situation happened, and I literally, went through that trial, and because I'm gonna tell you, the thing that burnt me up was when I made the report. The officer said to me, "Are you sure you want to report this?" He was like, "Because y'all used to date." And
Mm.
As if that
and I'm
makes a difference.
Right.
right, and I'm like, and
As
I'm
if
like,
they're
well,
not going to believe you or something.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so my thing is like, how many times you gotta tell somebody no?
Right.
Right.
Because I know I put up a fight, and I know I screamed, cried, bit,
Mm.
fought, said no
Mhm.
over
Mm-hmm.
30 times. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
And no means
This
no.
right, this man went into hiding.
Oh
And they
wow.
wouldn't
Mm.
say they wouldn't put a warrant out for him. They was like, "Oh, we just want to talk to him." And I'm like, "What the fuck is up with Wilmington police? Always just wanting to talk to somebody."
So, so I have to ask the same question I asked in the
Hmm.
previous episode. Was there accountability for this person?
Well, we went to trial.
Okay.
Mhm.
There were a jury of all men.
What?
A jury
Okay.
of all men. His attorney selected it like that,
Oh my goodness.
and he was found not guilty.
Of course. Of
Of
course.
course.
And I was so listen, when I tell
Mm.
you, I was beyond defeated at this point. And so
I was
I
gonna
was just
ask.
like, you know
Yeah.
what? At this point, now, mind you, this trial went on February 7th. Valentine's Day, I'm scheduled to have my hysterectomy. And all I know is that I need, because my doctor called me and was like, hey, we can move your appointment up. Can you get here by this time? I said, okay. They said, you need to have somebody here with you. So who I go and get? I go get my grandma. Because
Mm.
she's,
Mm.
I needed somebody there,
Mhm.
and she
Mhm.
was the
Right.
closest.
Mhm.
So it was like, okay, me being me, I go ahead and they go back and they, prep me, and the anesthesiologist is there. And when I tell you, my prayer was, God, I'm tired.
Mm.
If this is all that you have for me,
Mm-hmm.
take me while I'm on this table.
Mm.
Wow. You were tapped out.
Girl, I was done. I was so tapped out.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So,
so the
go ahead.
hysterectomy came from stress, or
Well,
like what was the purpose of having this hysterectomy?
I had fibroids and endometriosis,
Mm.
and I was
Okay.
in so much pain
Mm.
daily, you
Mm.
know, and it was just like, my doctor, she presented the options to me.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hell, I had already had my tube side because after my last shot, I was like, yeah, ain't gonna
Mm.
be, I'm not
Mm.
never bringing another kid on this
Mhm.
planet for
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
another, you know what I'm saying, for a man.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
period,
Right.
because I've seen, you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, I don't have a dislike for men, but it's just like the men that, I have had these relationships with has made me, like second guess myself. Like, are you
Right.
really,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I get it.
So this is a breakthrough episode. Can we come to the breakthrough?
Absolutely.
When is the moment that you go, okay, Erica, how we're gonna take care of ourselves, and then
Absolutely.
how we're gonna actually put that in place? Where is that moment? When is that moment? How is that moment?
Okay. So that happens after I had my hysterectomy.
Okay.
And I had some complications after my hysterectomy. I mean, I actually coded. I had an out of body experience.
Because you asked for it.
Because you asked for it.
Absolutely. And I'm watching them work on me. I'm like looking at them.
Above, looking down. Okay.
Yes. And I see my best friend. She's in a panic, and so I'm hearing them calling the codes, and then I eventually, go back into my body.
Okay.
And so from there,
Well, what was the thing? Because you said I eventually went back. What was the thing that said, "Girl, go back"?
you know what? Because my best friend was panicking, and she was like her kids. Like, who is going to take care of her kids?
Your kids. Okay.
And I was like, all right, I guess I'll go back. Shit.
Begrudgingly. Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
you were tired, and I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I went ahead and, after from that moment, baby, I felt a peace over me. After I came through all of that, I felt a peace. I mean, I was talking to people so calm, it was scary. People was like, is she okay?
Right.
Because I'm like, yeah, you know what? Because I'm just so calm, about everything. Why? Because I knew what chaos looked like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I had to tell people, one thing about me with life has shown me a lot. And in order to know peace, you got to know violence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is so deep.
And I know both of them. But I choose peace.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I made it my mission to eventually get the fuck from out of Delaware, because it was nothing but trauma there for me. And so in 2015, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and go. And one of the ladies that I was friends with over in Germany, they moved to Georgia. Me and her have remained in contact throughout the years, throughout the years. And she was like, well, yeah, come on and visit. I went and visited, and I liked it. And it's so funny because when I was younger, I always said I wanted to live in Georgia.
Okay.
And so, it kind of just came to pass. But I'm going to tell you, the way that the universe worked, baby, I was able to make my move down here. The moving truck, the deposit for the apartment, everything. I was able to do that on $1,000.
Wow.
On $1,000. And I've been here ever since. And then I started, decompressing, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Started decompressing. So, when your body start to decompress, sometimes, it can happen rapidly. I mean, I was, having what they call pseudo seizures, and it was because of anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really seizures, but it was just my body was reacting to the rapid change of everything. And so it was almost like all of this stuff was being pulled out of me. You know what I'm saying?
Like you're purging?
Or like a detox?
Yes, exactly. And so I started painting. And then I remembered, I was like, hold up. I said, before all these people came and almost walked off with my shit, okay? Now I'm talking about like all my good stuff that I loved about me and the stuff that I was doing, being, a child at heart, but still, taking care of, responsibility and all that. And I said, I lost that.
Yep.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to start with something simple. So I started painting. I started, just doing random paints, painting. And then it went on to, other forms of creativity, making jewelry and, and also meditating,
Mm-hmm.
yoga,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and when I tell you, when I had time to sit still
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and put stuff in perspective,
Right.
you know, and it was just like, okay. And when I finally was able to tap into myself,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it was like, you know what? You've been running from something, all
Yeah.
this time. And I really
Mm-hmm.
was,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm spiritually gifted. I don't
Mm-hmm.
tell a lot of people that, but I've
Oh my
always
God.
I've
Mm-hmm.
always been, even when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
like I see, and I hear, and I was
Mm-hmm.
and my mom, she used to, cuz my mom used to tell, my aunts and them, "Oh, leave her alone." She's
Mm-hmm.
just, the imaginary friends. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I
Erica.
saw them, nobody else saw them.
Wow.
Erica. Wait till you hear the next episode of What's Been Better.
Oh, girl.
There's a reason. There are no coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why we are sitting together. There's a
Come on.
reason why we are connected. Because when you hear the next episode, you're going to be like, okay, well, now, because Lori, are you
Mm-hmm.
not having a like
I'm
moment?
tripping. But
Yeah,
but everything is in alignment. Like
everything.
there's a
Absolutely.
reason why things happen, and somebody needs to even hear this story, and
Mm-hmm.
then also
Absolutely.
to hear how it lines up because it's similar to a lot of different stories that we've heard.
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
Your story, the details are different, of course,
yeah,
but it's similar.
right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is that it's almost like the trauma is there to, distract you from what your actual purpose is. You know what I'm saying? Or what
Yes,
your
Mm-hmm.
gifts are.
Yeah.
And
yes.
so, and I've had people just walk up to me and tell me, how, spiritually gifted I was. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, and of course, girl, I didn't want that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
I
didn't
have,
want it when I was
Yeah.
younger because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know the power that it held.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I
okay.
didn't know what to do with it.
But
And
somebody
so,
else knew that too.
Yeah, that's what I was going
The
to say.
evil
mm,
entities know that
mhm,
too, and that's
mhm,
why they're
I was
sending these
constantly under
bounty
attack.
hunters. Yes,
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
constantly under
mhm,
attack. And
mhm,
then it just so happened that you were laid vulnerable. Your mom goes, your
right.
dad goes, and all
mhm,
these different things
mhm,
leave you vulnerable. Your
mhm.
grandma's not around. The friend is, and right there, so you can be swept up and taken.
Okay.
Right.
And I have one last question before we wrap this up. Very important question. How and when did you start gardening?
Oh, girl, we grew up, girl, we grew up in the only house in the projects with a damn garden.
Okay. Okay.
It may have been a little flower garden starting,
Oh.
but then
Dope.
as I gotten older, I was like, I just like to play in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, like, little
Right,
mud
Mm-hmm.
right.
pots and all that kind of stuff that was really
Right.
natural to us. And so,
Mm-hmm.
every
Right.
house that I've moved to, I've always had a garden. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and so, what
What
I
did
did was
what
this
did do
time
for you?
here,
What does
absolutely, this time here, for me, it was like, okay, um, I need to be able to nurture
mm,
outside of my children, you
mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, I'm not a perfect mom, baby. We and my kids and had our little,
Mm-hmm.
as parents do, as teenagers do, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I needed to find, healing with it, and the gardening was just a next step to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to
Mm-hmm.
the healing, and
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
when decided I was going to do a vegetable garden, because I was like, what I was looking at, I said, wait a minute, I'm in the grocery store, like, why the fuck is it $1 million some for some cabbage and
We've
potatoes
all
and
had that
carrots and stuff?
moment.
Yeah, I said, oh hell no,
Right.
I could do
so
this myself. I could do.
okay,
Right.
because let me save me a couple dollars. Let me put my
Yeah.
best interest at
Oh
heart.
my goodness.
And so
Well.
I said, you know what? I moved, because and I'm in the process of waiting for this
Mm,
market to do something for me to be able to buy. You
mm-hmm.
understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
doing raised bed gardening.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so and don't get me wrong, it's a trial and error for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm learning about the blight, on the cucumber plants
Tomatoes and
and
the
tomato
command. Yes.
Girl, listen, when I tell you, when I saw your video about the
Mm.
soda water, about the what is it, the plant beer?
with the club soda with the
Yeah,
plant soda. Yes.
plant soda. And I said, well, I'm curious. I need to know, like, what is this baby talking about? Because I done planned it all, I got my little stuff going, and it's looking like it's trying to do something, but girl, and so when you posted that, I said, and something just told me, look and see, like when you
Mm-hmm.
said soda water, I Googled it. And it was just so
Yes.
happened to be that I Googled it, and it was like, yeah, you know what? Club soda is actually good for the
This
garden
is
soil.
Mm-hmm.
Lori. I don't know if you saw that whole saga.
Mm-hmm.
This is who actually was like, but it's really a thing. I
Said,
didn't. I
I
had
didn't
no
know
clue.
either. Because
No clue.
I said, but see, one thing I know, these babies be knowing.
Mm.
They do.
These
They
kids be
do.
knowing. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hold on, wait a minute, sis. I think your nephew might be on to something.
Yes.
Because
So the young people done hip y'all to the game.
It was my nephew. I mixed the fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
I water with the wine bottles.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mixed the fertilizer and the water in the
Mm-hmm.
wine bottle, and I put it in there. And so it was
Okay.
kind of fizzy looking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when he came through my garden, he was like, "This looks like plant soda, Auntie." And I jokingly said in my video, "My nephew says this looks like soda."
Oh, so
And
you didn't
so
even know that it was a thing.
no. And
Oh,
so
wow.
Erica was in the comments like, "Well, what kind of soda did you use?" And I'm like, it's not. What are you talking about? Like, don't. I think my video was like, don't listen to 4-year-olds. Like,
right, yeah, she did.
I was like, don't listen to 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds make up stuff or
But
whatever.
he
And then,
actually knew.
and this is the best
Wow.
part about TikTok. You can respond with videos.
Mm-hmm.
So we just kept responding to each other, video after video, because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, child, that is not soda. Stop it. So then when she sent a video back that was like a Google. It was just a screen of
Mm-hmm.
Google
Mm-hmm.
saying club soda is a thing. I
Wow.
responded with a whole video. I went to the store,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
got a grocery basket full of club soda, and was like, here we go.
And so it
Because
works
don't
really,
tell me,
really
oh
well.
my God, it worked
Girl, her plants. I'm
so
like, well, wait a
well.
minute now.
Well, so I wonder if it works on houseplants too. Then.
I'm
It
pretty
does.
sure it does.
It does, because I actually I use what I do half water, half club soda, just to kind of get them acclimated, and it actually does. It's good for the soil.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and even if you can use club soda with minerals
Okay.
Yep.
in it too, and that helps too. But
Okay.
baby, when I saw how them tomato plants took off, I said, well, wait a damn minute. I said, hold
They,
on.
that was a scary time because I was like not prepared.
Wow.
I legitimately was not prepared for them to grow that fast because it was like 36 hours.
Mm.
And they were at here to, I was looking up at them and they were starting to tilt
Whoa.
over. And so I was like in the video, like, y'all, I'm in trouble. I had to get rebar, like
Mm.
actual rebar to use to prop them. It was, but I
Wow.
appreciate you, Erica, for challenging me because I surely was like, sis, this is not soda.
Listen,
So it's
I, I,
interesting. I'm sorry to cut y'all. I'm just thinking
you,
about how you all have some similar backgrounds and how you end up gardening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this like heals your soul
It
because
does.
it's
absolutely.
almost like you have this trauma story, but
You
the
Mm-hmm.
do.
gardening and getting back into nature really
It's therapy.
changes things.
It's
Yes, it's like a
therapeutic.
Yeah.
right, right.
It's like a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of trauma bond. It's a healing bond to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Absolutely,
To
yeah.
me,
Cause
it
I'm
is.
trauma bonds, baby. I'm like, cause I'm gonna tell you something. Me myself, I have pulled myself out of the dating game for a while, only because I had to realize that through all of my trauma, I
Mm-hmm.
became a mother. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I became a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Still had more trauma, had more loss, and life just kept happening.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of wins in between
Mm-hmm.
this trauma. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? I had a lot of wins, but at the same time, the trauma was so heavy
Mm-hmm.
where it was almost like it could have took me out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I pulled myself out of the dating game because I'm like, listen, I need to get to know Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something. One thing when it comes to this piece that I have found,
Mm-hmm.
ain't nobody gonna interrupt that. Do you hear me? Let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
something. I protect this piece at all costs. I'm sitting in my peace room right now, as you can see, my little,
Mm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and
That
because
is
I
a
am a
common
spiritualist, and I'm
Mhm.
thread.
very heavy on, energy, very
Mhm.
big on energy. And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to pull myself away from that too. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mm,
Because I found myself always like, needing to know and this, that, and the third, and whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. And I was like, wait a minute now, listen here. You starting to sound like a little crazy person,
mm,
because you done went, and you got to be able to pull yourself back because you cannot be up here all
Mhm.
the time. You understand
Mhm.
what I'm
right,
saying? Me,
Mhm.
right.
I do enjoy a good time. I like to have people around me who is in a like, energy. You understand what
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not necessarily like minded, because it's okay to agree to disagree,
Mhm. Mhm.
Right,
because we're not all the same. Our
Mhm.
viewpoints are different.
right.
However, if you coming over here with some negative energy and
Mhm.
it's all extra heavy in this, baby, I ain't gotta wait for you to leave. I'm leaving
Right.
because I'm in
Mhm.
control of what I allow to go on in my life. And so the
Exactly.
gardening, yeah, that really helped me out, when it came to a part of my healing.
So right now you're single, right?
I am
Okay.
girl, I'm happy.
Okay.
Girl,
Okay.
I'm happily single.
Okay. You
I'm,
have a
S-
oh my God, you have such
Yeah.
a beautiful breakthrough, and I'm so thankful that you shared with us this transition in life because
Mm-hmm.
you went on a whole journey
Yeah.
of really learning who you are. That's what that
absolutely.
sounds like to me, and it
Mm-hmm.
came full circle.
Yeah.
So kudos to you
Mm,
for that.
And
thank you.
thank you
And
for sharing that story with us.
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know, at some point, it may not be today, you know, but somebody, some woman, some, young person, some man, they're going to hear, this, and they are going to be inspired because when I tell you, it's been plenty of times I was tired
Let me ask
because,
Well,
you this real quick
oh, go
before we
ahead.
wrap up. What's happening with your youngest sister now, and what's happening
mhm,
with your oldest sister and your brother?
okay, well, with my younger sister, unfortunately, there's been some things going on with her children. Um, I'm not gonna make
Mm.
that,
Mhm. Mhm.
public
Mhm. Mhm.
or whatever. But she's been having a rough time too. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been trying to get her down here,
Mhm.
or just get her
Okay.
away from Delaware because people got to understand it is a whole world outside
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
Your
your
bubble.
state, your
Yeah.
block,
Yeah.
your
Right.
like. Just
Yeah.
please go and
Mhm.
see. I promise you, you will
Yeah.
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then fine, go back.
Right.
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 But nonetheless, yeah. Now my older brother, he's doing well.
Mhm.
Okay.
For himself.
Mhm.
I'm proud of him
Mhm.
considering from the lifestyle that he was,
Mhm.
living before. And the saddest thing is, the person that actually shot my brother in his head back then was his best friend.
Mm.
Oh,
Because
okay.
come on, because
Mhm.
everybody ain't your damn friend. All
Mhm.
right.
True.
Mhm.
True.
And so, and with my other sister, my older sister, I really, baby, I don't do toxic.
Mhm.
That's all
Okay.
Okay.
I'm saying.
I hear
I
you.
don't
Okay.
do
Well, we'll
toxic.
leave it at that.
Mhm.
We will
That's
leave it at that.
Absolutely.
that's how it can be sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Okay.
Absolutely. I love her, but at the same time, I didn't got to like you.
And
You
you
know what I'm
can
saying?
love
True.
from a distance. That's
And that's
another
my
thing.
point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
don't come around here with all that foolishness. I ain't got time for none of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Baby, see you,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
That-
Right.
Wow.
I get going real quick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, tell the people where they can find you.
I am on TikTok. My page
Okay.
is Page of Balance,
Mhm.
and you, like I said, you get a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
So
Well,
just be
Lori,
inspired.
let's be done for the day. This was cool. This was a whirlwind of a story.
Mhm.
Lots of takeaways.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, lots of takeaways. But thank you, Erica, for joining us.
absolutely.
Please come back with
Yeah.
other stories, other things that you want to share. If you just want to come and have a
Mhm.
good time,
Yeah.
talk
Oh,
about
girl,
current
listen.
events, talk about
Yeah.
gardening. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
if you have not already, like, share, subscribe, do something with this episode, but do not keep it for yourself. We love positive reviews because they help others find our show. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
All right.
absolutely. Thank you.
That's it for this week's show. I'm Lori Scott.
And I'm Sylvia Johnson, and you've been listening to What's Been Better.
A big thank you to Lagon Music Inc. for providing our music. This show is edited and produced by us with a little help from our family and friends. We love you all.
We want to hear what's been better for you. To be a guest on the show, send us an email to questions@whatsbeenbetter.com. Or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at What's Been Better Podcast.
Thanks for listening.